Welcome to African Spiritual Resistance, where we explore African spirituality, its history,
and its use in our liberation throughout the African diaspora,
yesterday,
today, and tomorrow.
So this is the third episode, the Ancestors episode. And so we're going to get into it. You know, a lot of people talk about the ancestors in positive and negative ways. Some people say, I'm not my ancestors. I will throw hands. You are your ancestors, and we're going to get into that. And if you had the type of ancestors that wouldn't throw hands, that's on you. You probably won't either. So keep it 100. But because your ancestors, my ancestors threw hands. Sorry, poop, excuse me. My ancestors threw hands. Our ancestors threw hands. So that's foreign to me. But I will throw hands like your ancestors just punks or something. What's wrong with you, man? People trip me out. But anyway, or they'll yell ancestors don't even know. I've been to events where people pouring libation to the ancestors, giving them Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid giving you diabetes. You gonna just give them, something that's killing you. You'll be with them soon. Keep drinking that Kool-Aid. So stuff like that, instead of just simply pouring water, giving Kool-Aid, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? That people do. People don't have knowledge of their rituals. They create their own, so they come up with anything. Sweary face said, "Oh, hello, tiny comrade." So, hey, Okikiola. How we get here. We got here through lack of study, through wanting to be erudite, right? But not putting in the work to be. Wanting to be intelligent, know about our culture and things of that nature, but not bothering to really learn about our culture. Okay, that's laziness. To not bother to learn what it is you need to learn, or what you want to learn. I want to know about the ancestors, but I'm not studying nothing on the ancestors. I want to learn about someone. I want to learn martial art, but I'm not taking no class. I might break a nail. It's just foolishness,
You want to learn. You always want to learn about yourself.
But you got to.
Yeah, and learning about your ancestors is learning about you.
So there's a proverb that says, "You learn to cut down the tree by cutting down the tree." That means you want to learn something, you want to know something, do it.
Right.
Do it. And so that's why we're here. That's how we got here, James, by not doing it. Okay.
And everybody has an ancestor. There's no way you could come to this world without having an ancestor.
Right. We're going to get into that. So we are our ancestors. We make offerings to a gungun. So a gungun is the Yoruba way of saying a gungun, of saying ancestors, right? Some people say agun. Your aguns. First of all, when you use a Yoruba word and you end it in S, you already that's incorrect. The Yoruba do not say Orishas. It's Orisha. Okay. So if it's 10 Orisha or 1 Orisha, it's Orisha, not Orishas. Just we gotta, because this dealing with the ancestors, because the ancestors didn't say Orishas. They say Orisha. Okay. They didn't say Agun. I gotta talk to my Aguns. First of all, it'd be Agun. And Agun means, it's Agun, it means bone. Egungun is your ancestors. Okay. I want to be clear with that, because a lot of people say, well, we master language. We do. Stop it. This language is alive. It's still going on. And you're gonna just change the language. Get your ass out of here, man. That kind of stuff is disrespectful and it's ignorant. And instead of you learning, like we were just saying, you want to just say, well, black folk, we take the language and we master it. Oh, that is one of our languages. That's not English. That's not the language, one of the languages of the colonizers that we took and mastered it and flipped it and did whatever. You're talking about a tongue that's actually an African tongue. And on the other end of that, and I'm get back to this, student told me one time, I don't speak to the ancestors in no language but in an African tongue. I said, oh, why are you doing that? You know what? Looking shocked. I said, let's not be spooky with this, man. If, first of all, the forces of nature, wind and iron and all that, they're not speaking African tongue. It has to be translated. And it's translated by a shoe, and we'll deal with that when we're down a little while later when we bring in an actual Eshu priest to come in and ask some questions, things like that nature. But so would you take this Okikiola here, and if she went to China and we let her stay with some Chinese folks and they taught her, she would know Chinese. She was speaking Chinese. Yeah, like she's doing now. You speaking Chinese? She'd be speaking Chinese. If she went to France, she'd be speaking French. So we're tripping with that. If you want to talk to your ancestors, most of our ancestors didn't speak English. I'm pretty sure most of our ancestors they live on the continent of Africa, talking to black folks.
And even if they live here and they was Native Americans, they still didn't speak English.
Right, exactly. So you don't have to worry about because that is translated in spirit anyway, which we'll deal with one day. All right. So don't spook out with that either. That's the other end of the spectrum. We are ancestors. We make offerings to a gungun to pay homage and request them to continuously support us. The remembering of ancestors is an ancient tradition, still practiced in many parts of the world. Connecting to our family line and history helps to keep our loved ones. Excuse me. Girl, you better not bite me. Well, she doesn't have teeth, but keep our loved ones and their achievements alive, but also reminds us of important lessons and allows us to see how far as a family, community, and nation we have come. We all have ancestors. Those family members who have transitioned back into spirit, and each of our lives rests firmly on the foundation of their work and their sacrifice. They are as near to us as our breath and our bones, and they can be a tremendous source of healing, guidance, and companionship. The ancestors we choose to honor may include not only recent and more distant family, as far as our blood family, biological family, but also beloved friends and community, cultural and spiritual leaders. Okay. So people say, well, name some ancestors at events. I'm always listening, and we should. Harry Tubman, Marcus Garvey, people, Malcolm X. They always, those three always get named. But you should also name your family members.
Yeah.
Because they're important to you. In fact, you exist because of them, right? In the African spiritual and cultural traditions, we do not believe that death is an end to life, but merely a transition. So to become an ancestor, you have to transition from this life, from this physical form. It is an extension of life that we, sorry about that. It is an extension of life that we must all experience. Normally, I turn my phone down, didn't today, and of course, somebody calls.
The origin of death is as old as the beginning of life. In a particular stanza of Oyeko Ose, Ifa tells us that the death is a divine blessing to human beings which is interwoven with the process of living from the moment we are born. It describes life as a continuous one that leaves the body when the cells cannot reproduce anymore. As time goes on, the cells gradually show signs of decay, and eventually the spirit passes out of the body when it becomes too weak to contain the energy we call spirit. Ifa tells us that death cannot be avoided by humans because humans are matter and all matter is composed of energy, and that requires two forces, positive and negative, in order to exist. The balance of these two forces is essential and must be adhered to whether we like it or not. It should be noted that we human beings pray or wish for good things of life, positive, only forgetting the negative, without which life can't be a balance. Ifa says we shouldn't be afraid of death. Ifa describes death as a visitor that is gonna visit us once in our lifetime. Just like we welcome positive visitors just like childbearing, marriage, victory, success. We should also welcome death as well.
The Zulu see death as a person's deeper connection with all creation. The Zulu believe the ancestors, which they call the Amadlozi, are intermediaries between the living and the spirit world. They believe the Amadlozi come to them in the form of dreams, sickness, and snakes. Opportune times to communicate with ancestors are during birth, puberty, marriage, and death. Contact with ancestors are made to ask them for blessings, good luck, fortune, guidance, and assistance. Okay. Among the Bantu of the Congo, the traditional spiritual belief is that the true religion is the relationship between the people and the real living God of the ancestors. So, in the Congo, in their spiritual beliefs, they believe that the true religion is the relationship between the people and the real living God, which is the ancestors. Okay. Community is the union of ancestors, God, to the people of the Congo, the Bantu, and the people, religion. So community is a union of the ancestors and the people. The community is an accumulation of the unity of the physical and spiritual elements. So the community as a whole chooses its laws, its folkways, mores, methods of defense, and the like, because they believe that the ancestors are their ways should be followed because the ancestors are their gods. Okay, and so you follow them, you're following the real living God. You follow your ancestors' ways. Okay, and by doing that, following them, the community follows them. The community is the religion. So for the Congo, the Bantu of the Congo, you want to know their religion, you watch how they live. That's their religion.
Among the Yoruba of Nigeria, what happened to be the soul of the dead in the next world is also important. That's why certain burial rites or rituals are performed during the burial ceremony. The status of the deceased in a society and the nature of death determines the type of ritual to be performed. In the case of death of a Babalao, his iking, which are like palm nuts, are used for divination in order to hear a message from the departed and also know whether the deceased would prefer to be buried with the whole of his iking or part of it. In the case of the death of an aged person or a higher chief in the society, they will be accorded certain burial rites. That that includes killing of a fowl that is called Adiye Iranwo, the ritual fowl that buys the road for the deceased. This fowl is used to clear the way for the deceased so that they will be accepted to join the ranks of the family ancestor spirits. Before the corpse is finally buried, it will be washed thoroughly. Sometimes the hair of the man deceased is shaved, while the deceased woman's hair is plaited or weaved. After the deceased has been washed, it is wrapped in a grave cloth. After that, the actual burial now take place. In the case of accidental death, it is believed that the soul of the deceased is troubled and thereby needs to be appeased. A certain herbal concoction made with snails is prepared by the babalao or priest and then sprinkled on the floor of the deceased house and even their grave. The significance of snails here is soothing and specifying efficacy. This, they believe, will put the troubled soul at rest so that it can and have a smooth journey to the next world. One thing I would also like to say is that in Nigeria or throughout Africa, the way they bury, the traditionalists, because the people that are Christians, they do like how we do in the U.S. They bury their people at a graveyard, but for us traditional people, we actually they bury you in your house. So, and if you're a chief or somebody of a great title, like a rabbi or something like that, they will always during Ogun festivals or something like that. They will be um, they'll have a communication with you. They'll do different sacrifices to you during their festival time for their Egungun festival, and they'll offer sacrifices, offer support, and ask for different things that they want. So in essence, it's like your status is like God level at this point.
Now, what does the Bible have to say about all of this? According to the Bible, what is the soul? The Bible shows that the soul is not something inside a person. The soul is the person. Okay, this is according to Christianity, and I want to deal with that because most of our people are Christian. So, let's talk about that. The soul is the person. It's not inside. For example, in Genesis 2:7, when God created Adam, the man came to be a living soul. Okay. Adam was not given a soul, he was a soul, a complete person. We read that souls are born, Genesis 46:18. They can eat or fast, Leviticus 7:20, or Psalms 35:13. They weep and faint away, Jeremiah 13:17, Jonah 2:7. Souls can be kidnapped, pursued, and put in shackles. That's in Deuteronomy 24:7, Psalms 7:15, 10 and 105:18. Some Bibles render the original language word as soul in those verses, while others use the words being, creature, or person. All mean the same thing. Since the soul is the person, when a person dies, the soul dies. Ezekiel 18:4 says, the soul that is sinning, it itself will die. Also, Acts 3:23 says, any soul or person that does not listen to that prophet will be completely destroyed from among the people. So the soul is not something that survives the death of the body. Okay. The spirit is not the same as the soul. In humans, the spirit is the life force that enables us to perform the activities of life. It is often called bioelectric energy. Basic science teaches us that energy, spirit, cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. That is why the Bible says of man in Psalms 146:4, his spirit goes out, he goes back to his ground. But it also says, in that day his thoughts do perish. Does that mean that when he dies, the spirit dies? No, it means that when he dies, his actions die. He is given a clean slate. Thus the Bible says he makes all things new. Now you say, well, it said his thoughts perish. So, and your thoughts are part of action. In the process of action, it's perception, uh, perception, thought, impulse, action. So thought is a part of action. You perceive a thing a certain way. I look at that person. I say, oh, okay, I can beat that person's ass because I looked at them. They look like it. And so now I'm thinking I can beat their ass. Now the impulse comes. I ain't like that dude. I'm gonna whoop his ass. There's an impulse. I'm about to step to him, and then the action takes place. Okay. All actions are preceded by thought. So when it says that his thoughts do perish, his actions is what it's talking about. When a being is dead, their physical body is no longer active. No longer, and if it gets up and it's active, it's going to scare the hell out you, right? Yeah, we don't even believe in hell, but it scare the hell up out of us. Once that, if you see a person just get up and acting who has left, okay. So while we may have small differences in our belief systems, the one thing we can all agree on is that our ancestors are real. Okay. Talk to any black person, and they can attest that a child in the family acts like auntie or uncle so and so, or that their father, mother, aunt, uncle, sibling, or child who is transitioned came to them with some message. You know, when I was a little boy, we moved into this apartment. My mother had, I was two. I was too little. This is the only memory I have of when I was that age. My mother had put my grandmother's, my father's mother, mink coat up on the rack, on the hanger. I couldn't reach it. But every day, I remember that coat would be sitting up on the couch, and I would have it, and I could see my grandmother. I have these conversations with her. And then by the time I was, until I was 4, by the time I was 4, she said, I can't keep coming to you like this, but one day you'll have a way to talk to me. You'll find a way to be able to communicate with me, but I can't talk to you, come to you like this no more. And I was holding her and crying that she was, basically telling me she was leaving. And my mother woke me up. I was laying there with the mink coat around me. Now, nobody had given me the coat. I couldn't reach the coat, but I would see that coat every day at certain times of the day. And my grandmother, I would see her in it, wearing it, right? After that never happened again. So we have these stories. I'm not unique in that. We all have these stories. Everybody's just lying.
Yeah, because there's times where I've heard people say that a family member or a friend died, and that person has come back to them and say, "Look, I'm in a better place.
Right.
I'm fine. Just don't worry about me. If you need anything, just let me know." So
And better place doesn't mean land of milk and honey, y'all. I remember a sister told me one time, you go to heaven. She's a Muslim. When you go to heaven, you go to a land, the streets are running with milk, and the trees, the fruits are made of gold. I said, well, goddamn, you can't bite the fruit. So you're going to starve. It's hurt your teeth. And then the whole heaven stink because it's running with milk. And that's a whole bunch of cows or a big ass cow to make that a river of milk. She was sitting there like, oh. So, we come up with things.
It has to make sense.
Right. It's not making sense, and it's not making sense, and we have to be realistic about that. Like, damn, I don't want no fruit made of gold. I've been looking at that like, damn, I'm hungry. I can't, I ain't got no teeth right now. I certainly wouldn't, all of them, nobody would have teeth. They've been broken trying to bite the gold apple. And then I need some water. I'm dehydrated. Ain't nothing here but this milk running throughout the city.
Be gassy.
And it stinks because it's just running on the ground. People walking through it and all that. And I'm going to drink. No. So, Casey McGovern said, "Where is that?" Well, some people say that's heaven, you know. So that's some folk, and not breaking on folks, but come on, let's make sense, y'all. What you're talking about, what we all talking about. Okay, our atheist brothers and sisters believe in the power and influence the ancestors have on us too. Oh yeah, they believe in the ancestors. You say what? And the atheists say, I don't believe in no ancestors. You dead, you dead. You believe in the ancestors. Y'all call our ancestors DNA and chromosome. You believe in that, right? And I believe in that. I believe in DNA and chromosome. I told you the creation story with the Yoruba is when Obatala came down to Earth. Some people say, well, Obatala or Orumila, some people say, but when Obatala came to Earth, he came down on his chain, and the chain wasn't long enough, couldn't reach Earth. So he reached in his bag. He put matter, dirt, primordial matter on the Earth, which is all water, and it made land. He jumped on, it made a little hill. He jumped on down, and that is the Tase Hill. He jumped down on the Tase Hill, and Obatala made land on Earth. Well, that chain is talking about the double helix of our DNA. Okay, the primordial matter is what is the stuff of existence, is what we're made of. Okay, and what this earth that we're standing on is made of. When it talks about Ogun made the chain, Ogun is iron and the force of nature called iron and war, right? And in the middle of the earth, what keeps us on this earth is gravity, okay? And in the middle of this earth is a ball that spins. Iron ball, yep. And that is gravity. That forms gravity on the earth. That's what keeps us here. So, that is Ogun. So our atheist brothers and sisters, we right with you. We right with you. Y'all call it DNA and chromosomes, and we do too.
Somebody said they saw an orc behind you. That's why I just saw an orc behind you.
An orc?
Orc.
Oh, I swear I just saw an orc behind you for a second. I hope that mug had money in it. So they crack open, you know, pay some of these bills. The wee one is too saying beautiful truths right now. Yes, she's trying to share what she knows.
Festivals are the most fundamental and necessary component of a Gungun worship. Since the practice is a component of lifestyle.
I'll be back. Y'all excuse me.
Festivals are the most fundamental and necessary component of a Gungun worship. Since this practice is a component of the lifestyle, society becomes strengthened during this period. There is an atmosphere of love, devotion, honor, and respect during festivals. Religious and social values become alive during these festivals. During this festival, during the festive period, and communicating with the right spirit world becomes potent. During this festive period, spiritual values are reiterated and revived. There is interaction with the spirit world and the social life. The main aim is to appease the spirit and elicit favors from them. In doing so, order and balance are restored and maintained in the physical world. So it's important that during the time that we have different festivals, we have what is called masquerade. And masquerade is like, I don't know if you ever seen in New York, it's called a gungun. And it's full of different beautiful cloths that is covered an individual. An individual shall never be known to the people. Is a taboo for the person to be revealed. And
They're inside of the
they're inside of a
masquerade.
costume,
Mhm.
and they're going throughout different communities. And during that time, they're actually that energy is worn off death, worn off sicknesses, worn out loss, evil spirits, and all that stuff. So it's to protect the community against evils and harm that wants to befall an individual or a group of people. So it's important. During that time, you go to that a gungun, that masquerade, and make your prayer, give your offerings and sacrifice, so that they can also do their part and help. So some of the offerings that you will give to the masquerade or to your opaiku, which is a shrine dedicated for a gungun. And it's important to say here is that a gungun is a male dominant uh, club or egbe
Society.
or society. It is mainly men, although we do have women that are a part of a gungun, but it's only men that participate in masquerades, and that will definitely be a story that we will speak on in the future when we can have some a gungun people here to really go deep into it. But some of the offerings we will give is gin, moi moi, bean cake, echo, which is a corn pap, cola nut, bitter cola, rooster, a he goat, a ram, a mala, which is also cassava,
Yeah.
yam, and one of the most important things to give is palm oil. Palm oil is very important when you give an offering to your ancestors.
Some of the icons represent a gungun, opaiku, which are sticks. It's a bundle of sticks, and specific work has been done, uh, and that is the shrine, if you will, of Egungun. Um, you got Isan Egun and Eku Egun. The main color for Egungun is red. So you said, well, Eleke is the beads that are worn.
Usually multicolored.
Y'all don't have them, but usually it's multicolored. And that it represents, but there's going to be a predominance of red in it. But it represents all of your line, okay, your ancestral line, and so that's why it's all these different colors. So it represents different cultures and things that are within your family throughout your bloodline. Okay. Uh, that is pretty much uh, that as far as now calling down the ancestors. My wife's going to deal with that. I just took that part because Okigyola was, ready
Yeah.
to eat.
Enilao Rawa, I am greeting you, my friends. Be ekolo ba juba ile alanu. If the earth warm pays homage to the earth always give its access. Omode ki juba ki ba ba. A child who pays homage never suffers the consequences. Egungun wo kie, ancestors, we greet you. Egungun wo kie, ike aye, or eye, ancestors, we greet you with respect. Egungun wo kie, okiye, ancestors, we greet you with respect. Ohun ti nje, lajule ohun ni one by one je. Whatever good things are being eaten in heaven, we we eat offerings with them. Jeopo laye, eat richly from earth. Omo atiye sola ni igbale. The children of the earth are grateful for your blessings. Ori Egungun Adupe. We say thank you for the wisdom of the ancestors.
Ashe.
Now, with all that being said, if it's not important for us to give offerings to our ancestors, what will be the reason for them to be, um, saying these things? So it's extremely important for you to give offerings to your ancestors, for you to be calling your ancestors' name, showing appreciation to them, showing love to them, not forgetting them. Also, as you're living, leave something of value for your children so that one day they could say, "This is from my mother." A lot of people, they don't know you. If you don't, they won't speak much of you. But if you leave a house that's three generations down, they're gonna uncle gonna be well known in the family. Oh, Uncle Poodoo, he left this house for the family, because guess what? That house is still standing, and people, their family is still living in there. So this is how you stay well known and do something in the community, because it don't just have to be you, your family knowing you, but also your people, your peers. They can always say, okay, Pooty Poo, he was a good person. I can, you can vouch for him. He can vouch for you. It's always somebody saying something good about you. That's how you are always, your spirit, even if once somebody pass on, could always continue to live on. You know, so
Now, a simple libation for y'all to do, right? Uh, when you're doing libations, like, whenever uh, black, quote unquote, conscious people get together, they love to do libations.
it's important.
Some are cool. Some that I've heard are ridiculous. But here's a simple one for you, uh, and I'll translate what I'm saying. But start off saying, so take your water, right? If you can get spring water, it's good, or tap water, it's okay. And you can pour it into a plant. You can pour it into the dirt, depending on where you are. Like I said, you can pour it on the floor, but if you're in my house, don't just be pouring water on the floor. I don't know where you got it from, so don't do that. But you pour it into a plant or whatever. You say Omi Tutu, Ile Tutu, Ori Tutu, Orisha Tutu, Egungun Tutu, with each pour. Okay. Who?
Or not.
Ona Tutu, Tutu Lawaye, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So Ori Tutu, cool head. We dealt with Ori last week. Uh, Ori Tutu, I thought I said Ona Tutu, but so Ona Tutu is cool road. Let the path that you walk be cool. Uh, Orisha Tutu, that the Orisha will begin to uh, teach on. I said once, the first one is going to be a shoe. We're waiting for a shoe priest who's out of town to come back in town. He's going to be our guest and he'll join us. So Orisha Tutu, and Orisha are the forces of nature, particularly how the forces of nature interact with in you. They're part of you. Omi Tutu, Ile Tutu, cool home. Ile is your home. You want your home to be cool, right? Tutu Laroye. Laroye is conversation. So tutu means coolness. So you want all these things to be cool. And tutu Laroye, cool conversation. Okay. So you start with that. You say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Then you name uh, ancestors that you want to call down. You say their names 3 times. Harriet Tubman, Harriet Tubman, Harriet Tubman. And you got to, after you pour the water that opens it up, and then you say Harriet Tubman, Harriet Tubman, Harriet Tubman. Uh,
As if you want to give honor to
Harriet Tubman,
But
right,
if you're trying to give honor to your own personal ancestors, you would call your ancestors.
right, and that's why I had already said that earlier, right? So then you would say, I would say, uh, Adam Swan, Adam Swan, Adam Swan. So I'm saying it three times, right? In the Yoruba tradition, saying something three times actualizes it. Okay, actualizes and or activates it. So that's why we say it three times. Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglass. Aunt Jenny, Aunt Jenny, Aunt Jenny. And it goes on, and you say, anybody else want to call their ancestors? And uh, Uncle Tootie, Uncle, what do you say, Uncle Tootie Toot,
Pooty poop.
Pootie Poot, Uncle Pootie Poot, Uncle Pootie Poot, Uncle Pootie Poot. You call him Uncle Pootie Poot, Aunt so and so, and Grandpa so and so. Okay, so that's how that goes. It's simple. You all can look back at this and you can see how that works. It says, "I feel love, I leave love." Same to you. Peace. Casey MacGyver. Eugene Mason says legacy. Yes, you must always leave that legacy.
Hmm.
Always. Um, it's important to leave a legacy for children. Your children. It's important to find the legacies of your family, what they left for you uh, as a family and you as an individual. Legacy is very, very important. Okay, and that is the direct ancestral connections. So the more we uncover, the more we learn about our ancestors and things of that nature. My mother began to tell me about my grandfather. I didn't know he grew up in Ruralville, Mississippi. Uh, didn't even know about Ruralville, Mississippi until then. I'd assumed he lived, grew up in Yazoo, Mississippi, where my mother's from, but he didn't. Um, and then there's other parts of his history that I won't talk on right now, but maybe later, right? And so she began to talk about different movements that he made and his brothers made, right? Uh, and so I learned much more and I felt more enriched because I knew more about my family. Uh,
And also, there's a is important to give offerings to your ancestors. There is no duty fa that Ifa says in that Odu where by giving honor to your ancestors as you're here on earth, those ancestors during the time when you die or when you transition to the next world, that they will also, you know, they will come on your they will speak on your behalf during the time when you transition, to know what you did in life. This is what I've done. And your ancestors will support you if you've taken care of them. But if you haven't taken care of them, then how can they support you? Just
right.
like here, how can they support you if you're not supporting them?
And that's nicer than what the Zulus say. The Zulus say, if you don't feed your ancestors, then they feed on you. So things are going badly for you, things are going, topsy turvy. Uh, the Zulu, they always look at, well, what have you given your ancestors? And if you have not given them anything lately, what have you done for me lately, like the song says, um, then they begin to feed on you. So you're getting sicknesses and misfortunes,
Curses.
different things happening to you. Okay. So uh, that's the reality of African ancestors. I'm sure the ancestors from other cultures they have their own thing, but that's from different African ancestors, and there's so much more. There are thousands of cultures in Africa, so and they have some similar ways of propitiating their ancestors, and then some different. You know, some ways that are the same in the way they relate to their ancestors, some different.
I mean, it's important. We go to the Chinese store, the Thai stores, different stores throughout the world, and they venerate their ancestors as soon as you come in. They have something for their ancestors there.
Yeah, you'll see it all the time.
Yeah, and it's not evil.
And if
And
you
it's
don't know
not
what you're
bad.
seeing,
You will
it,
know.
it could be a piece of orange sitting on top of a piece of money in a plate.
Hmm.
That is an offering to their ancestors.
It's not evil. A lot of people think because we're African that if we want to give something to our ancestors, we're doing something evil. No.
Witchcraft or
Yeah.
something.
Why do we
And,
have to? Why does it have to be a case like that?
and it's also not ignorant. To give to your ancestors is really to help yourself. But we give to all kinds of things. We give to other people's ancestors. A lot of times we don't even know it. When we come into in martial arts schools, I see people they have the teacher up there, teacher's transition. His picture's up there. They'll have the American flag, which is weird. It's an Asian art. They had the American flag, and they may have his Korean. They have the Korean flag. It's Chinese. They have a Chinese flag too.
Hmm.
And then you come in there and you salute. You salute those uh, the ancestors. You salute when you salute the flag. You saluting the ancestors who fought and died for that specific country. That's why I'm not saluting the American flag. I'm not doing that because I'm not propitiating the ancestors that enslaved us, gave us hell. Uh,
Hmm.
I have my father's flag, uh, for his shrine, but it's just for his shrine, right? But I'm not worshiping or bowing down to any white man's flag. Now, um, I have when I was in the military, I did, but it's a different day. What is it? Yesterday's price is not today's price. It's
So what they're
different.
saying.
Um, but my grandfather's name was Eugene, and he taught me about Africa, the truth. Okay, that's good. That's good. I won't because I stand for truth. Um,
And then, oh yeah, the yams filled for the ancestors, absolutely. The Pacific Islander had whole huts
Huts
filled with
filled with
yams for
yams
the
for them.
ancestors. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You get food, yam, whatever but I always say here in the US, I was saying on the last episode is that, you know, the way traditionally is done is different from the way I learned. And as soon as I started giving honor to my ancestors, there was a huge change in my life, a huge change. So just gathering up different pictures of your ancestors, putting, glasses of water on your shrine, adding food, leaving it there maybe a day or two and taking it off, and just praying to your ancestors, asking them to support you with whatever you're trying to do, whether it's get a job, um, protection,
Relationship.
relationship. You need a husband, or the husband the man need a wife, vice versa. I mean, all different types of things. Your ancestors. You want children? Yes, go to your ancestors because hey, they want to come here. Vice versa. So, your ancestors are here to support you, to be guiding you. You know, to me, they have been here before, so they know our plight. So why not? You know, they can they do something in the spiritual world. When we give those offerings, it's like it's nurturing them, feeding their spirit, so that their spirit could fight for us, fight for you. So it's important.
Or any questions?
Maybe somebody did they do anything for the Ori last time? Did somebody want to say anything about that?
They can ask what they like to ask. My wife was saying, if you had any questions about it or read or anything about the ancestors,
No, if they
nah.
wanted to say something, if last week if anybody did anything with the Ori, or did they
Oh.
see any
Well,
changes?
yeah. If you have anything like that to share, please let us know. Um,
Oh, Baba Iya, do you all practice Isese? Yes.
yeah. So yeah, Isheshe, we had talked about that on the first episode. Is traditional Ifa as practiced in Yoruba land. Uh, you said, well, what's other than Isheshe? Other than Isheshe are offshoots of Ifa. Uh, or people practicing Ifa, like I said, like it's the church. You know, you got the African garb on, you're really practicing more Christianity than Ifa. But you got Lukumi, you got Santeria, you got, what's the one in Brazil?
Oh no, but
Yeah, Candomblé. Uh, you have all these traditions. You know, people have asked me, "For do they work?" I know people use them; they work. So you know, I can't deny that. They certainly work. What we should not do, uh, our brothers and sisters from those different traditions, do not uh, assume you know more than the root that you came from. I was at an event. Uh, this famous Lukumi priestess was speaking, and I went. I was like, man, I'm out after about 10 minutes because she spent her whole time just, you know, uh, in Yoruba land they think they know, but we know. I was like, how arrogant can her ass be? They think they know, but we know the truth. You know, there are things we know that they wish they had. All that kind of foolishness. Come on now. Come on now. I'm not saying it's because I practice Isheshe. I'm saying it because Isheshe is where you got your root from. So you need to stop. And like now, it's so deep in Cuba, or in Puerto Rico, it's so deep that you learn much more than the Africans who have lived in Africa for about 10,000 years practicing Ifa. Come on, stop that.
we don't have
Stop
to be
that.
separated. Let us, be
We
together. We all looking and coming for the same thing as knowledge.
we can be together. We should be. If not, shut up. And I'm purely different from my wife. Y'all know me from warrior class, right? I'm me, 24/7. So just shut up. If you're not gonna work, if we're not gonna work together, just shut up. We shut up about each other. We ain't got nothing to say. We're not gonna work with each other. And if we're gonna work with each other, we can talk about all that bull job later. Who knows what and who knows more and all that. Let's get something done. Let's get something done. T Brown, is that Tajiniwa Brown? Is that my sister-in-law, Iyalogun sister? Peace and greetings to the awesome OJ Tades. No, I don't think so. That is, I forgot. Brown, he had a whole bunch of enslaved. He enslaved a whole bunch of Africans. So there's all kinds of Browns out here. All kinds of Browns out here.
So
Uh,
I think somebody was mentioning about how do you start an ancestor altar?
okay, hold on, Rich. Can you speak to roughly how long our ancestors practiced? Like Yoruba identity begins around 1500. Does that roughly line up with Ifa, or is it further back? Okay, so that's what I was talking about. And I'm going to bring out a chart. So Central Africa, they've had, now we know people have existed for millions of years there, but their spiritual traditions, I don't know if that's when they got their understanding of it, or what have you, is about 100,000 years old.
It's big too.
Oh, Oh, Big T. Hey, Big T. I didn't know your last name was Brown. I got locked out of my account. I usually use. Oh, okay. Oh, you're Brown. My wife's, got the same enslaver. She's a Brown as
Thanks. Thanks.
well. But and T Brown too. Her government. Wow, that's interesting. Anyway, so 100,000 years in Central Africa. This is the belief. Uh, when we move into West Africa,
Hey.
when we move into West Africa, it's believed that the West African traditions of Ifa, the traditions from Akan, are 10,000, around 10,000 years old. Okay. Uh, don't know the exact length of time, but what that teaches us, though, is don't, that's another thing with arrogance. Don't be so quick to say, our religion is the oldest religion on earth when that doesn't track with history. Okay. Don't be so quick to do that. That's arrogant and it doesn't make sense. It makes more sense that Central Africa would have the oldest religion, then it spreads out. Not that West Africa would have the oldest, or East Africa would have the oldest, or South Africa would have the oldest. Doesn't make sense. So when we say 1,500, if the Yoruba are 1,500 years old, that is the Yoruba in Yoruba land are 1,500 years old. The Yoruba themselves say they didn't start in Yoruba land. They started in Egypt. And when Caucasians started coming down into Egypt, they fled because they didn't want to be able. You said, well, it was Arabs. Yeah. There's a saying amongst the Yoruba that the Arab and the Jew are cousins. So the way they look at them is they all Caucasian. They got the hell up out of there. Like, we can't, these people are, wherever they go, it's death, destruction, dishonesty, disturbance, disease, right? So they said, we're moving west. So they moved west. And as they moved west, they began to take on other cultural beliefs, cultural studies of the mind and things like that. And so they talk about Rumala taking this trek, and he's gathering all these from these different spiritual traditions and religions. He's gathering these different things to create Ifa. That's in the Odu. So that being in the Odu means that Ifa cannot be the oldest religion on earth. I want that to be clear with folks. For folks, when they say that, that is arrogant. And when we say we love, black folk love the first baseball player, the first chick to twerk, the first everything up first. That don't make it great because it's first.
It don't make it better.
That don't make it better, right? Because it's first. But because you think so, you'll lie about history of a thing, and now it's once you lie about the history of a thing, it's nothing but confusion. I had to make that clear because, like I said, we don't really know the age of these traditions. But I will post once I learn how to do all this stuff. I want to, maybe I'll do it for next week. Post the we have a picture of the timeline, religious timelines of all of the known religions.
And also, I just found out last night that the Yoruba calendar is like 10,000, whereas where we are in 2023
Gregorian calendar. Yes, different.
And they are in 10,000 something. So they are definitely.
Oh, and on that too, the way they do days, so we're clear moving forward too when we say certain things. The Yoruba in Isheshe, we don't use a 7-day week like that.
No, not at all.
So when you hear people say, well, Tuesday is Ogun's day, Thursday is Shango's day. Can't be because the Yoruba have a 5-day week. And those days change all the time. So today is Ifa's day. It is. Today's Ifa's day. Well, we count, and they count that day in what they count. So they wouldn't say 5 days from now. They wouldn't. Today is Sunday. They wouldn't say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday. No, they would say today. They would count that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the next Ifa day is Thursday. It wouldn't just stay Sunday. That's not. So that's the difference with Isheshe. We deal with how traditionally it's counted. Okay. Then after that, Thursday will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's how you do that with the different days of the different Orisha, things of that nature. Okay. Yes, Big Till, they're changing days. It's not the 7-day cycle like that amongst the Yoruba. So as we begin to do different things and talk about different festivals, just know what we're talking about in that count. We're counting it in those days. And people say, well, what do you do on Ogun's day? Well, okay, well, we can deal with that, but no, we're not talking about Ogun's day. It's just Tuesday. Okay. We may do a show. My wife may not want to do that because they could get us in trouble with folks on misunderstandings and myths. So I said last week when I asked about what color is Ogun's Eleke, and Baba Fadapo Ele Boybon said to me, Baba, you know the level of training of a person by the questions that they ask. There are no, Ogun doesn't have a leke, Baba. And his color is black. It's a black chain that's worn on the wrist or ankle, not around your neck. You don't want Ogun around your neck. Okay, it's talking about iron and war, knife, sword. So it's worn as an iron chain on your wrist or your ankle.
So Egungun's day would have been yesterday, which is Saturday. So every 5 days would be Egungun's day.
Right.
So
and the reason and that's why Teresa, they say Tuesday is Ogun's day because Tuesday is Mars day. Okay, and Mars is the god of war. Ogun is the god of war, but he's not just the god of war, he's also the god of iron. What's the difference? Because he's the god of iron, he's also the god of surgery, technology, transportation, art, as far as art sculpting and things of that nature. Yes, so different. The what do you call it? The hammer and anvil, and the iron, that you use for the to heat up the iron. Mm-hmm. All of that. So those things are different than just Mars, who's the god of war. Okay. But yes, the days are different. Usually when we're dealing with days like that, it is dealing with astrology or more Western culture. They deal with Tuesday so-and-so's day, right? The reason why they say Thursday is Shango's day, because Thursday is Thor's day. That's what that means, right? And Thor is associated with Shango. Why? Because Thor is haughty. You say arrogant, right? He uses a double-sided hammer. Shango uses a double-sided axe. So there are similarities for sure, right? But there are also differences. Okay. Shango is also, when we talk about the men of men, that masculine, that masculine energy, but also now Ogun is male energy. Shango is masculine energy. It's a difference. But also Shango is, if you will, pretty boy, right? He is, so his colors are red with white, It's funny, my son is a Kappa Alpha Psi. They're called Pretty Boys, and their colors crimson and cream, which is red and white. Wonder where they got that from, right? So all these things will come out. There's relationships between certain things, and if you study the history of these things, you'll see why they are. And we're going to get into those things.
So
But
say you start wearing Johnny. Say you start wearing
black this week, hey, and I've seen a huge improvement in my mood. Great. What is the theory behind avoiding wearing black on the body? Is that black attracts things. We know that. You know, black folks say don't wear no black out in the sun and when it's hot because you're gonna get hot as hell, and that's true. You be getting hot in the bug, right? Well, it attracts, but it attracts the negative because of its color. I ain't talking about us black, right? People, you know, they get you saying black is bad, black is in that what the white man taught us. I ain't talking about us. I'm not believe that. I'm not talking about us. The color black. If you keep that off your body and your head, you will feel better. Your mood will improve. Okay. Same way, if you're wearing brighter colors, they can be white, bright orange, things of that nature, or refeeds off that. It feels better when it has a brighter environment that surrounds it. But so do we. If you walk into a room that is completely black, if you don't walk out immediately, your mood is going to sink. You're going to be worried.
You're going to feel a different
what's in
energy
here?
in there.
Right. What's in here? It can just be you, but what's in? You walk into a bright room, that's not happening.
You'll feel a lightness.
And you definitely ain't scared unless you're just scared, a scared character, period. You walk in the room and say, hey, okay. Now, if you walk into a jail cell, but you walk into a jail cell bright, you feel doomed. You walk into a jail cell completely black and you have abject fear because you think it's shanking time now. So it's still, okay, I walk into this negative bright room, but now darken that bright room, that negative bright room, and it's even worse. Okay. So you can tell the difference with brightness and things of that nature, how they affect you. Okay. All right. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, the sea goat, effective on land and water. According to Balogun, Ogun is also overseer of craft and poetry.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So when we talk about poetry, there's a whole system called Iyalogun, a system of poetry. It's a genre of poetry called the Iyalogun. And I had put a link before, and either Kalanja or Jared, I think, they actually put the video up of the sister who's one of the greatest Ijala artists. Ogun! She's doing this whole poem about Ogun. Great, right? So yes, and that's specifically dealing with Ogun. That the Ijala Ogun is about Ogun, how dope he is, how badass he is. You try to beat the other person, talking about how cold Ogun is. Hunters do those, the Ijala poems while they out on the hunt to entertain themselves and things of that nature. So, yeah, and hunters, those are children of Ogun. They're using the rifle, children of Ogun. Okay, soldiers, children of Ogun.
Yes.
Okay, so you got those things. Nope, cops are not Ogun. Before you ask, nope, they're not Ogun. Okay.
I mean, cops, some Ogun people could be.
They make some Ogun. I mean, shoot, some Obatalabi may be cops,
right.
but cop, a police officer is not a a job, if you will, common to Ogun folks. Uh, Police actually are under a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
A shoe is a divine trickster. I ain't just say a trickster, he's a divine trickster. But they're under that because they deal with deception. The police deal with deception. So they ain't got nothing to do with Ogun. So police, if you out there talking about, you doing Ogun work, no sir. No ma'am. We ain't giving you that kind of credit. All right. Just want to make that clear to y'all cops that's watching. All right. So enjoyed our time with you all. Love y'all. Stay
Peace and
black.
blessings.
Peace and blessings. Stay black, whatever it is that you may be. Uh, Peace, blessings, study. May we all be granted the light of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of ourselves, our ancestors, of Ifa, or whatever tradition you may study. Be safe out there, y'all.
Be safe.
Peace.
Peace. You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. And yes, with the awesome OJ
Okay,
Tie
Tade.
Days.